Few captains have had as big an impact on the game as MS Dhoni has in the last 2 decades of cricket. Under his captaincy, India won all 3 major ICC trophies, including the 2007 T20 inaugural World Cup, the 2011 ODI World Cup, as well as the ICC Champions Trophy in 2013. Dhoni has played a total of 332 international matches, of which he scored 11,000 runs. He scored 11 centuries and 71 half-centuries during his time as captain. In ODI cricket, Dhoni is at the top of the list in terms of highest run scorers at number 5 or number 6. He is the only batsman in the world at the time to score a century while batting at number 7, which he did while playing in December 2012 against Pakistan when India were 29 for 5 in under 10 overs. There's more than enough stats to justify Dhoni as a batsman and a wicket-keeper alone, but for the purpose of this video, let's focus on what made him such an incredible captain and had many people following his lead throughout his journey, whether that was the IPL or the Indian cricket team. He has followers all across the globe, and his leadership is something I had missed when he stepped down as captain. Before going further, I just want to say thank you for subscribing. I honestly made the first few videos thinking no one was going to watch them, but I've had a lot of engagement. I've seen some of the comments where people said they've really enjoyed it and they thought it was good content. So this has motivated me to come back and start producing content on a regular basis. I love cricket. I love looking into the details of the sport. So if you like what we're discussing here, what we're talking about, do like, subscribe, comment, share, ask me what other topics you'd like me to cover, and I will do that. Moving back to the discussion on Dhoni being one of the greatest, if not the greatest captains of all time, let's start by looking at his captaincy record. He's captained India in 200 ODIs, 60 test matches, and 70 T20s. At the start of his career, Dhoni was known as a big hitter that took risks and was sometimes inconsistent as a batsman, but all that changed as he quickly grew through the ranks in the Indian cricket team and took over leadership at a pretty young age in 2007. He was actually encouraged by several of the seniors in the team, including Tendulkar, to take over after Rahul Dravid stepped down as captain. And what really changed everything around for Dhoni was when they won the inaugural T20 World Cup. That was his first time captaining a squad. He took a pretty novice team and went all the way through to the finals, beating Australia in the semis and Pakistan in the finals in the last over and clinching that win. Right then and there, early in his career, we could see how confident he was and how he was able to handle pressure in tough situations. What you look for in a good captain is their presence of mind on the field, how they manage their bowlers, how they encourage their team when things are under the pump, how they're able to back them and also take responsibility when they lost. That's something Dhoni did quite early in his career, and that's why he has such loyal dedication from his players. He also took his time to slowly implement and change the personnel and team culture. He first established his credibility and over time managed the transition through the process. It's not easy when you're managing a team of seniors and superstars and you have a new upcoming young generation of cricketers that were coming through the mix for India when he took over. You had the likes of Sachin Tendulkar, Dravid, Sehwag, Gambhir, Sourav Ganguly, and all of these senior players, and you're a young captain. You have to learn how to manage those resources and not only earn their respect, but you don't want to ruffle too many feathers. So he did that quite well, and that's something he should be credited for because the situation can get quite challenging when you have a mixture of experience. Later on in his career, he also developed many players that were young, like Raina, like Jadeja, Ashwin, as well as Rohit Sharma. In fact, he could be purely responsible for the growth that we've seen and the amazing player that Rohit Sharma has turned into over the past decade as an opener, because he persisted with him, he backed him, and he even pushed him to be an opener, and that really changed things around for him. Many times we lose sight of the gut factor and instant decisions captains make on the field, because those are the moments when you know if you're going to make it or break it as a captain. And he has done that really well in many, many scenarios, in many situations where we would have actually thought India would lose the match. And that's not easy to do. For example, in the 2011 World Cup, he had persisted with Harbhajan Singh for the most part of the tournament, but then brought in Ashwin in the quarterfinals to surprise the opposition. Ashwin even started with the new ball ahead of Zaheer Khan and ended up with 2 for 52 in his 10 overs. He took important wickets of Shane Watson and Australian captain Ricky Ponting. At that stage of the tournament, to take that sort of risk is a calculated decision. You have to be brave, you have to be confident in order to pull that off. Even when he promoted himself to number 5 in the final of the 2011 World Cup, when you had an in-form player like Yuvraj Singh, he was able to look at the fact that the bowling consisted of Muralidharan, who was an off-spinner who would trouble the left-hander. So he had the foresight in that situation to make a calculated decision once again. In the 2013 Champions Trophy final, he gave the ball to Ishant Sharma, who was already very expensive that day. I remember when Ishant Sharma conceded a 6 from Ian Morgan in that over, I thought it was all over for India, but he came back strongly. He took 2 wickets in that over, and it helped India get back into the game and helped them win the title. He literally was able to make these golden moves in the unlikeliest of times. In 2014, we saw how India came back from the unlikeliest of places. England only required 80 runs to win a test match at Lord's, and Ishant Sharma started bowling bouncers. The commentators were criticizing this tactic and they thought this was gonna surefire fail. Then Ishant Sharma kept persisting with that, took 7 for 74, and India won the game. After 28 years, they won a match at Lord's. That was the sort of quick thinking that you don't get to see too often from captains. Even after his resignation as skipper, he was constantly guiding Kohli on the field, making adjustments, making bowling changes, and he has an eye for knowing how the batsmen are playing, how the pitch is going. In the 2016 World Cup, in the last over of the India-Bangladesh game, Dhoni brought on Hardik Pandya to bowl, which itself was a major risk, and then he took off his right glove with 2 runs were required off the final delivery. And he was able to interpret the possibility of what could happen in that last ball. The batsman missed the ball, Dhoni ran to the stumps to break it, and they were able to win the match by just 1 run. These are crucial, critical moments of brilliance that shine a light on Dhoni's magic as a captain. Most captains focus on results. They're very reactive. When a bowler gets hit for a boundary or a catch is dropped, they show it in their face, they show it in their expressions, they get angry. Sometimes they put the blame on the players after a loss in a press conference. But Dhoni took it on himself. He took responsibility, and he would even say, I need to blame myself. I'm the leader of the side. I'm the main culprit. So of course I blame myself. And that was one of Dhoni's quotes. And he took that very seriously, and that's why he earned the trust of his players. Dhoni goes beyond the results. He believes in the process. He actually understands the influencing batters. Did the batsman hit a good ball for a boundary? Did the fielder put in effort to take the catch? What was the pitch like? What was his team's situation when the batsman walked in? He's understanding all these different scenarios and making adjustments. He's even looking at how the batsman is moving, how the pitch is functioning, which direction the wind is blowing, which side of the ground has a smaller boundary, and accordingly adjusting his fielders and telling them to bowl a certain line and length. He subconsciously absorbs all these aspects and sets fields and chooses bowlers accordingly. And what we think of as lucky bets are actually calculated risks that he takes. And he's also very good at communicating this to his bowlers. Instead of dictating what they should do, he would give them the example of, we need to do this in order for us to achieve this. And it would set a clear blueprint and create a lot less confusion. That momentous final over in the T20 World Cup final in 2007, when he went up to Joginder Sharma in the last over, he told him, you have bowled so many overs in domestic cricket with so much dedication when no one is watching. Don't worry, cricket won't let you down. That's the sort of trust that any bowler or batsman look for in their captain, and that's what motivates them to give it their 100% when they're playing. It's not like Dhoni didn't lose his cool when a player didn't perform, but he knew at the end of the day it was a game, and he did not let that pressure get to his head. He believes that if one follows the right process, the result is often favorable, and his stellar record as captain vindicates that belief. Dhoni's able to emotionally detach from a situation. It enables him to look for a solution that works for anyone who would just lose their mind in the heat of the moment. Dhoni set the bar very high for both his team as well as himself. His average in ODIs while captaining was 53.55. The only other player that has a higher batting average is Kohli for people that have scored 5,000 ODI runs or more. Dhoni's only lost 2 matches in the ODI World Cup which he captained, one of which was the semi-final against Australia in the 2015 World Cup. This is an impeccable record that very few people have to show. Like with any player, there's a few controversies along the way, one of which was when he did the rotation policy and cited dropping senior players because of a lack of fitness and he needed a younger side. And that was an assessment he had to make because fitness had to be very high in order to stop runs from scoring, and they needed to transition to a younger team over time. But Dhoni built the team for the long run. He developed players, he groomed the future captain like Virat, and when it was time for him to step down, he did it without any noise or fanfare. He did it simply, and he moved on and continued playing as a player. And that is a very humble sign for someone that was so talented and achieved so much in his career. The biggest takeaway from Dhoni's captaincy, and you can even see it in the IPLs today, is that him as a captain alone can help you win matches that were previously thought to be unwinnable. And his ability to finish at the end, remain not out, and take his team through the finish line shows the type of leadership that he had.
Just walked out and said, "Right, gentlemen, a lot of you have been playing this game. Now let me come and finish it off." 20-6, India win the Asia Cup for the 6th time.